want what I want, and I want it now. Anybody relate to that? I can. So can my 7-year-old grandson, Marty McDougall. Gigi and Papa, a.k.a. Mary and Phil Hengen, brought Marty some donuts last week. Now, we had told Marty that we'd be bringing them over Saturday morning, and he was planning on that. But his plans didn't work out the way he expected. Papa and Gigi brought him a braided glazed donut instead of a round glazed donut. And he was not happy at all with that. Not what he planned. He refused to eat it. So I did. Excuse me. Truth be told, it's not just little kids who get out of sorts when their plans don't work out or when it takes too long for their plans to come to fruition. Some of us older folks have the same reaction. We just hide it better. Now I'm going to bookend this homily with 2 prayers. The first is from Jesuit priest, theologian, philosopher, and paleontologist Teilhard de Chardin. And the second is Kate Bowler, an author and professor at Duke University. Now, Teilhard had this to say about our impatience in wanting our plans to work out and wanting them to work out now. Now, he, of course, turns to God for help. And this is what he said. Above all, trust in the slow work of God. We are quite naturally impatient in everything to reach the end without delay. We would like to skip the intermediate stages. We are impatient of being on the way to something unknown, something new. And yet, it is the law of all progress that it is made by passing through some stages of instability. And that may take a very long time. And so I think it is with you. Your ideas mature gradually. Let them grow. Let them shape themselves without undue haste. Don't try to force them on, as though you could be today what time, that is to say, grace and circumstances acting on your own goodwill, will make of you tomorrow. Only God could say what this new spirit gradually forming within you will be. Give our Lord the benefit of believing that his hand is leading you, and accept the anxiety of feeling yourself in suspense and incomplete. Now, when things don't go according to plan, we generally experience some degree of angst to a greater or lesser degree, depending upon the circumstances. Consider the people we hear about in our first reading from the 2nd book of Chronicles. Quote, in those days, all the princes of Judah, the priest, and the people added infidelity to infidelity, end quote. And we learn that their plans came to naught when they were carried off into exile in what became known as the Babylonian captivity. Talk about having your plans messed up. The whole nation ceased to exist, and for a very long time. It took approximately 70 years before Cyrus of Persia defeated the Babylonians and issued a decree that allowed the Jews to return to Jerusalem. Do you think they might have experienced a little bit of anxiety and impatience, waiting, hoping for justice and an end to their captivity? I think maybe. We are not that much different from them when our plans are not working out and we become impatient with how long it takes. Now, Lent is a time set aside for reflection. It's a good time to think about the plans we have for the future, near and distant. It's a time to think about the substance of our plans and what it takes in terms of time and energy to accomplish them. Above everything else, it's time to critically examine how much our plans align with or differ from what God's plan is for us. Now, this applies to us as individuals, to us as members of families, churches, states, countries, and nations, and ultimately as members of the one human race on this one planet Earth. Do our plans at all of those levels align with God's plan? I want to take a moment to consider what basically underlies planning. Lots of ways to do this. I really like what Father Thomas Keating, a Trappist monk and one of the leading figures in centering prayer meditation movement, proposes, how he thinks about this. He proposes that we are all motivated by three basic needs, very simple. Our energy centers, our programs for happiness, as he calls them. And these are present in every human being in early childhood, and they can lead to serious problems if we fail to grow up, we fail to mature. Now, Keating says the first is a need for safety and security. The second is a need for affection or esteem. And the third is a need for power or control. Safety or security, affection or esteem, power or control. Now, our feelings and our behaviors are all oriented towards satisfying those three emotional programs for happiness. And that is what underlies all of our planning. Now, let me be clear, planning per se is not a bad thing. If we didn't make plans, nothing much would get done. The problem arises when our plans, whether they're healthy or good, unhealthy or bad, don't turn out the way we like. It's a problem we all encounter because no one gets all they want when they want it. I'm taking ukulele lessons, and I'm planning to entertain myself and my friends with my favorite songs. And I'd planned to accomplish this after 3 or 4 months of lessons. Guess what? It's not working out. Marty didn't get the kind of donuts he planned on, and Papa doesn't get to become an accomplished musician overnight. I'm going to have Joe write out some lesson plans for me so I can speed up the process, because I'm impatient. So what do we do when things are not turning out as we planned? We can get sad and depressed. We can get angry and make life miserable for ourselves and for those around us. We can double down and try to bend our reality to our will, or to bend reality to our will, and become obsessed with making our plans come to fruition, which will also make life miserable for ourselves and for those around us. I wouldn't recommend any of those approaches. Or we can accept that our plans simply are not working out and use our emotional and spiritual energy for something else. Now, interestingly enough, sometimes we find out down the road that it was good that we didn't get what we wanted, because something else entirely different and better came our way. The sentiments from the well-known Serenity Prayer come to mind. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It's a good prayer to tack on to all of our planning. I recently got an important reminder of how plans don't always work out. And it happened as I was in the process of writing this homily. I didn't think I'd be here today to deliver it, and I asked Deacon Jim to kindly fill in for me if necessary. We learned Tuesday night that my niece's husband, Rob, had just died. He was a 53-year-old fire captain in Laguna Beach, California. He was diagnosed with cancer 6 months ago, probably related to years of exposure to fire retardant chemicals that they use in fighting fires. So Mary and I will go to California for the funeral, and we thought it was going to be this weekend. Well, that didn't happen. We're still waiting to hear when it will be so that we can make travel plans. And 6 months ago, my niece Katie didn't know that she'd be planning her husband's funeral in 6 short months. So please pray for her and their 17-year-old daughter and 20-year-old son. They're a beautiful young family, and they had their life all planned out, as all of us do at that age. As poet Robert Burns famously wrote, the best laid plans of mice and men oft go astray. So what are we to do in the face of such uncertainty when planning doesn't bring us the happiness that we seek? We can take to heart Paul's words to the Ephesians that we heard in our second reading. Quote, because of the great love he, God, had for us, by grace you have been saved. And this is not from you, it is the gift of God. Now think about the words Teilhard used that I mentioned at the beginning of this homily in reference to what Paul's saying here. It's a gift of God, okay? So I think it is with you. Your ideas mature gradually. Let them grow. Let them shape themselves without undue haste. Don't try to force them on as though you could be today what time, that is to say, grace and circumstances, acting on your own goodwill, will make of you tomorrow. Only God could say what this new spirit gradually forming within you will be. Give our Lord the benefit of believing that his hand is leading you, and accept the anxiety of feeling yourself in suspense and incomplete. I want to end with a prayer from Kate Bowler, praying that we might develop a higher tolerance for having so little control over life's circumstances. God, I come to you as I am. It's all I have, really. And the next one I'm conscious of will be the same. I can feel the way I move moment to moment without comfort of solutions. It seems wild to me now how I imagined that any once and for all cure for this, or a master plan to ensure things will work out. But truth behold, that's always been my secret hope. So Lord, let's try again. I'm begging for a new plan. I want to plan a plan that is an unplanned. I must keep moving and planning, trying and changing, knitting my days together even as they unravel. So can we do this together? Remind me to pray. Come, Lord, and quiet the worry. I step, and you steady me. I give, and you keep my hands open. I act, and you fortify me with courage to try and try and try again. This life is uncertain, Lord, but your love is not. You tell the story of my life regardless of how little I know about how it ends, except to say, you were there since the beginning, and you appear on every page.